Hey, good morning, everybody. Paul here with you. I guess we're coming up on around 8 o'clock in the morning. I think it's around 7:30 right now. And I've been busy walking for about, I would say, probably close to an hour, and I need it. I happened to eat a lot of food yesterday, and I couldn't quite cover it with my walking. So I'm going to have to weigh myself tomorrow because I've been putting it off too long. And I did a substantial amount of walking yesterday. I still did maybe 12 miles was my estimation, between 12 and 12 and a half. I think that was pretty close. I could have done more, but I had to get up early today, so I really didn't want to press it too much, although the weather is excellent for walking. Well, the reason I'm going to be doing this video today is because a lot of people do not understand how violent a sport basketball is. Now, I had somebody that commented, and I want to give you a little brief rundown. We had a person that was injured playing basketball, and it looks like it was like some sort of semi-pro league or something, or it was just a high-level street kind of thing. I don't know. It's not clear to me. No matter, when you're talking about basketball, I want you to imagine this, okay? Because a lot of people don't understand this. Basketball players, like you see some of these black guys, and white guys too, to be fair, if you look at their muscles, they don't look like they're extremely big. And that's because of the optical illusion that you get. They have usually long arms, and when you're looking at them, you do not understand how big their arms are with the girth of muscle. And I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine going up for a rebound, or the ball being bounced around, and then you go for it, and another guy comes over, grabs the ball, and then goes down. Can you imagine putting your face or your nose or your shoulder or your chest or whatever it is? Can you imagine somebody coming down like this? And it doesn't have to be a deliberate attempt, although that would make it even worse, right? And imagine this. And that's what you're getting. The constant threat in basketball. Just so happens that when I went into the Philippines one time, it was a long time ago, it was around 10 years ago, I walked into one of their hospitals there, and it was the poor person's hospital, and a Filipino came in, just a regular, slim Filipino guy, and his arm was cracked right in half. And it looked terrible. And it was all swollen, and it was unbelievable. And I don't know whether he waited or whether he went there on the spot. I think he probably went right on the spot, because it was very clear to me that bone was broken. And, we were there, and I was ailing in some way, so I was there for something or another. The guy said to me that he had injured himself playing basketball. So I did not expound upon that. And then, to make a long story short, this gent decided to give up basketball because he took severe injuries. And when I say severe, I mean career-ending, real severe injuries. It sounds like to me, although I'm not an expert on the translation, but that's what it sounds like to me. You wouldn't find me playing basketball because it's just too much. I don't even know how those guys make it through so many seasons, honest to God. All you have to do is take your nose and take your arm like this and just smash it down like that. And imagine how much harm you could do. And that's the problem with basketball. So this person said to me that what they do now is they participate in a sport which you can't really hurt yourself per se. I mean, you could still get some nagging injuries But he's decided to take up disc golf like about a year ago. And I give him all the credit in the world because there is hardly anything better than getting up in the morning, and if you happen to be near a disc golf course, and some people are, because like in some parts of California and so forth, I mean, and maybe even in Colorado and stuff, they just have lots and lots of these disc golf courses. And, you know, keeping yourself challenged is a big part of staying healthy, not only physically, but there's a great mental component to this. And to get up in the morning, I know people, not personally, but I've seen them on the internet, and they're men 64, 63, 68. And the first thing they do, even if they work, is they go out early and they try to play a short round of disc golf. And why do they do that? They do that because it offers something that you can overcome or try to excel at. And it challenges you. It challenges you as a person. So this is a very, very good thing to do. And I'm glad to see that guy went ahead and did the disc golf thing. Now, in many ways, he's more advanced than I am, because even though he's been doing it for like maybe about a year, he's done the disc golf. I did not. When I started 3 years ago. I believe it was 3 years ago, right around Christmas or the late part of December. It was cold as hell. It was freezing cold. And that wasn't freezing cold, but it was windy. And it was fairly cold. And I had bought all the wrong discs for what I was going to want to do with it. And what I wanted to do with it was, what was on my mind is I wanted to see how far I can throw these little devils. Because I could throw a Frisbee, I think, about 40 yards. That was about it. But that was when I was in 11th grade. So I wasn't fully developed yet. So, 50 yards is 100 feet, 150 feet. So that's not too bad, So he's got the time in, and when you're playing disc golf, you have to really fine-tune your game, because after all, you're trying to get the least amount of throws in per course. So, but for me, it was different. I remember when I first got my discs, I went over to the library. It was windy and sunny and cold, but it was really windy. It was excessively windy, like 22, 25, 27 mile an hour winds. It was really, really up there. And what I did not know is that these golf discs are abnormally heavy for their weight. So if you want to compare it to a Frisbee, it would be like taking the Masturbator Frisbee, which was like I don't know what it was. It was 167 or 175 gram. They were huge. They looked like a flying saucer. I don't know if they make them anymore, but they used to make that Master Frisbee back in the 70s and in the 80s for sure. And it was just one of those kind of things. You could throw it about 80 feet, and 75 feet you were starting to hit the wall with that thing, because even though it was big, it wasn't very aerodynamic, and it was not easy to throw. It was easy to throw, but not far. So it would be like taking that Frisbee, that Masturbator Frisbee, 170 grams, and reducing it down to 142 grams. And that's how heavy these discs are, and they want to immediately plunge to the ground. That's the trick. That's the long and short of it with disc golf discs. So I forgot the discs that I bought, but they were all, I think I got a Dart, and the Dart was like a 4-speed or a 3-speed or whatever. And I got quite a few of them, and I could not start throwing. I threw that first day, and the discs, I I was trying to throw with the wind. That was a big mistake because they just drop like a rock. I mean, it's kind of like a plane trying to take off in searing wind with the wind. It just doesn't go well. And, it was this thing that was kind of the enormity of it was just a little bit more than I could handle mentally, honestly. And I don't know, I don't have a word for it. I really liked it. I really tried to get better at it, and it didn't happen. And I remember very well, because I used to go to a park right next to where I lived, and it wasn't very big, but it looked big to me back then. And I started throwing these discs, and the park was around 65 yards. That's all. It was like 65, 66 yards. And, I was trying to make it into 300 feet. And it was not. Maybe it was 228, 230. That's it. That was the top there. But to me, it was hard. And I couldn't get my throw right. I had a hard time. Now I have a 360-degree delivery where I turn. But it took a long time, and I did it as a joke. Because what I did was, when I was throwing for distance at that park, if I wanted to throw over there, I'd turn completely around and have the disc like this and then whip around and throw it. And that started as a joke, but, just to think it would be kind of weird to throw like that. But, actually I kind of picked up my style of throw, and then I have trouble with my angulation, or whatever you call it, angulature. So where you point the disc makes a big difference. And that there's 4 different planes. You have up, you have down, you have left, and you have right, and you actually have backwards and forwards. So it's really pretty hard to really master this. And with practice, you get better. But, it was so weird. It was so weird that I just had a lot of trouble struggling for distance. And then I remember I got a shrike, and I threw that shrike, or maybe it was an ape. I got an ape, and I only did Innova. I got a couple other ones that weren't worth a shit. The Mentor by Discmania, I think is what they sucked. They were all understable, and they all just curved off to the left immediately. As a right-hander, when you throw like this and it goes off to the left, that's the way it fades out. So I couldn't get anything done with those discs. I tried many times. And then they had another one. I'll never forget that disc. What the fuck was that? That stupid shit. It underneath the back, like the disc is here, and on the back of the disc underneath, it had 2 wheels. I mean, what the fuck? Not real wheels, but like imprinted into the plastic. It had 2, what looked like a clock or something like that. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And that disc had severe problems. And I mean, no matter what way you threw that disc, it just broke off to the left. And the ape will do that too, because even though it's a distance driver, it's understable, and it goes to the left immediately. The Katana is much better. It stays a little bit more to the right. And then the Mamba, which I used a couple days ago to play disc golf, you could see how well I did because of it. It's extreme. It's an extremely overstable disc, and tends to go to the right. And if I can find a Gorgon, I will buy a Gorgon. Hopefully in a 161. If they have that 160 to 164 class, I'll be buying one. But right now I have a 168, and it's just too much for my gun. I can't do it. However, that disc, I threw that disc farther than any other disc I ever used. I threw it around 470 feet. It was astonishing. And I threw it, and I got it too far to the right. It went way, way up. It went through like palm trees, like tall, tall palm trees. And I went to look for it, and I couldn't find it. And finally, I went further, and it wound up getting right near the airport. It was only about 13 feet from the fence of the airport, even less. It was unbelievable. That was like 480 feet over there. So or maybe 500. That was an enormous throw. I only did it once. But I would like to get a Gorgon, because the Gorgon tends to stay to the right. As long as you throw it level, I usually throw it with hyzer. And that's the difference between the pros and me, because the pros can throw a hyzer, which means you throw it like this, and with an angle, and they can do it and make it pop up and then turn in the other direction. They're just amazing. I've seen some of that stuff. Their throws just go 500, 600 feet without rolling, and if they roll, they can go over 600 feet. It's unbelievable. So, I've learned on my own way. I basically just taught myself. And what I'll do is, since I got a whole bunch of new discs, Monday and Tuesday, I'll definitely get out there and have a big throw-off of all those discs. And let's see which disc will survive the round-robin event. Or it's not really a round-robin, it's just elimination. So I'll get out there on Monday. The problem is it's going to take 5 hours. It'll take 4 to 5 hours, because I'll have about 80 discs. And we're going to have to go through about 10 rounds, because I'm going to have to take off like between 7 and 8 discs every wave. And the weakest throws get put off. They get taken out. And it's good, though, to watch, because you'll see, at least with my throwing style, which discs consistently perform. That's what that does, So I've got to get a real heavy. Last disc I'm going to buy is, I am going to buy that the Mamba, and I'm going to buy it in a 178 to 180 if I can get it, because that is an astonishing putter. That's what I figured out, because I did a couple putts with it. And if there's wind, and maybe even if there isn't wind, we'll have to see. We'll see what happens. But anyways, that's my check-in for the day. And I get off at 2 o'clock here today, and I used to work at that store, but I don't work at that store anymore. So I'm just going to have to be forced to get out there and do some things. And as far as I can tell to the guy who happens to be an artist, I'm not surprised. I don't give advice, and if you've got really chronic pain, it sounds like you do, you just have to handle it the way you know how to handle it. And I don't know how you do your art, because I know that takes your mind, but when you're doing it, you must really suffer, because that is hard. That is really hard to concentrate through the pain. So, of course, I would only recommend that you walk, and walk as much as you can, and get that locomotion, that natural locomotion, and do your thing, because walking is life. It's what God intended. After you crawl, you get up and you walk, and that's the way things are done. So, that's the way I see it. Anyways, I've got about an hour walking right now. Probably did about 3 miles maybe. And I'm going to cut out, and I'm going to check the news. And I wish that person the best. I hope he finds a way to deal with that pain. I hope he finds a way to deal with that pain. And just to let you know, people deal with it in all different sorts of ways. There are people that use transcendental meditation, and they essentially tell themselves that they're not in pain. So I guess it works for a certain amount of people. I was surprised to see that there was an actor who must have been really something. He must have been really some kind of person. His name was Ricardo Montalban. And he was an excellent actor because he was so smart. And smart in like an all-encompassing way. I forget where he was from. I think he was from Spain. I'm not sure. But he was really something. He gave Star Trek a whole new meaning when he did Conalunian Sing. That was really something on that. I can't remember that episode. The Wrath of Khan, that movie was excellent too. But it was called Space Seed. The Star Trek episode was called Space Seed, and it was the original series. And toward the end of his life, and really not toward the end of his life, when he became like 58 years old, 54 years old, 56 and 57, like that, he started getting really, really serious chronic pain in his back. That's what I had heard. And he had to try to find a way to deal with the pain. And, he had to act through in these roles and stuff like that. And I don't think he was into his 57. I think it was much less. I think he was like 48 years old. I don't know what happened, if he had an accident or if it was just spinal degeneration. But he managed it, and he always came across like he knew what he was doing. Anyways, folks, take care. And I'll see you on the rebound here. I'm going to go check out the news and find out what the hell is going on with what Trump got us into here and his minions. It's like a child. You know what I mean? It's like, are we going to attack Iran? If we make a bombing of Iran, Iran just simply lashes out and hits somewhere over there that's one of our allies, and they destroy something. And I don't know if you get the game here, but it's just really easy. All the people, the innocent people there that get hit say, hey, don't attack Iran because they're attacking us and they shouldn't be doing that. It doesn't matter. That's what's going to happen. So I don't know how this is going to stop. I told you T-minus 3 weeks. It may be as close as 2 weeks. The trouble will begin when people panic. That's all it's going to take. And once it does hit, I would say in about 3.5 weeks is going to be the first lines at gas stations. It could be even sooner. And if this keeps spiraling out of control, folks, this could become a life or death issue, not just an inconvenience. This is the most serious thing I've ever dealt with in my life. And, during the oil embargo of the early 70s, it was bad too. So it was so bad in 1978 when it came back, the car manufacturers made their vehicles all smaller. It was terrible, really, really terrible. And the cars weren't worth a shit. The American ones weren't. So anyways, take care, folks, and I will see you later. I'll try to give you an update on the news, but it is Sunday. So I will see you later. Take care, subscribe, be nobody, and I will see you later. Bye.